All right, everybody, welcome back to another fun day of English 1A. You might want to take notes as I go over this because there's going to be things that I say that should be helpful and helpful in terms of getting this done. Okay, so when you click on this link here for S Activity 1, you get a bullet point list. And the first thing that I want to go over with you is this handout. And this is kind of a broad overview of how we're going to write our paper. And this is a structure called T-Bear. And you can read through this. So this could be outside of class reading, just to kind of give yourself an overview of where we're going. But in terms of kind of like just a general intro, basically T-Bear stands for topic, background, evidence, analysis, and restatement of the topic. It works really well with the research because you're going to try to find examples of things to prove your points, and you're going to analyze that research and what it says. What we're doing right now is not really research. It's sort of a critical interpretation of a text. And at a higher level class, you might be asked to find actual theory that supports your interpretation. So if you're doing a gender theory reading of an essay, you might quote actual gender theorists to support your observations. But for this class and the purposes of this assignment, you're not going to be asked to do that. You're just going to be asked to pull meaning out of an essay and defend your interpretation. How we're pulling meaning, though, is through these different lenses. So your analysis will be what it says about that lens or that idea. Essentially, analysis is like commentary, and then evidence you can also think of as a concrete detail. You'll notice that in this setup, you're probably only going to have one piece of evidence per paragraph. We can double it up and do two, but we'll talk about that as we go. So basically, you're going to do the intro paragraph last and the conclusion paragraph probably second to last. But you do need to have a thesis statement. And where all this is going to come from is this activity that we're going to do today. So once you have your essential question checked off 5 points by me, then you can start this activity. So T-Bear again stands for topic, sentence, background, evidence, analysis, and restatement of the topic. It's something that we use for paragraph construction for academic writing. So here is a T-Bear, this is like for an elementary school program, but students that I've had really like it because it's helpful. See the cute bear. We can print it out, color it in sometimes. But that's one way to think about it. This is kind of like a more simplified version, but usually the way we do it for this class is right here. So when you open this, you're going to get your own copy. So just make sure that when you open this, that you once you've made your own copy, you know that you're going to find it in Docs or in your drive. Okay, so this is now your copy that you can write right on it. So you're going to go ahead and put your essential question up here. It's what you're going to be answering in your paper. Make sure that it includes the title of the essay that you're reading. So one of my favorite essays is by the writer Richard Rodriguez. And what I might say is now, if I'm writing an essay, remember it's going to be in quotes. Okay. So So this is like a question that maybe if I was going to perform a gender lens reading of Richard Rodriguez, I might take this essay, and this essay is not in the reader, so that's why I included it. He basically, you know, questions gender roles specific to California and Mexico, while at the same time redefining what it means to be Californian and Mexican, and the values that we ascribe to these different cultures. He is both Californian and Mexican, so he does this a lot in his writing. So anyway, this is maybe my essential question. Mr. Finney signed off on it. And now we need to do some things, right? So what I need to do is I need to find a quote. So I'm going to reread the essay with this in mind. So that's the first step. And as I reread it, I want to find 3 really powerful quotes. Now, a quote doesn't have to be something that someone says to somebody else. A quote is a passage or a moment in the text. Okay, so I've got this quote. But the problem is that even though I love this quote and it's one of my favorites, it doesn't really answer or help to answer my essential question. So you have to judge the value of a quote by how much it talks about the essential question. So this quote really doesn't. It's talking about optimism and pessimism, which is another sort of thematic conflict within the essay. So maybe what I want to do is take a line here from the essay that says something different. Now, this is a pretty thin quote. It's not very long, but it's pretty potent. So I could break that down a little bit, or maybe I could find an even better one. So I guess what I want to do is I want to find a quote that really talks about this and helps me to answer this. So make sure that you're finding a quote that helps you to do that. And I'm gonna have to go back and reread the essay and find a really good one. I mean, I know what he's talking about, but I think I need to find the best moment, and maybe that's 2 or 3 lines. It could be a couple sentences long. Okay, so just for right now, I'm going to put in a quote that I have. And I'm gonna say what the quote represents now. So you could find your 3 quotes first and then do this, or you could find a quote, do this, find a quote, do this. So I'm gonna go in this order just because I don't have 3 quotes prepared from this essay. But sorry, I forgot. Okay, so something like this. Now, we're talking about gender roles here and traditional values. So I feel like this quote really gets to something. If you're going to abbreviate and, maybe it's 3 sentences, but you're going to take parts of them and you're going to cut out parts, if you do dot space dot space dot space, so something that looks like this. But if it comes after a period, you do a space and then the 3 dots. So you'll have 4 like that. Incidentally, if you watch the Star Wars intro, with the running floating text, you'll see 3 and 4 dots because sometimes it comes after a period. Just noticed that the other day. Okay, so what's the idea the quote represents? Again, this is what you need to be thinking about writing down when I'm talking. The idea is, how does this quote answer this? How does this quote, or how does this evidence that I've pulled start to give me an answer to this? So don't just summarize what it says. Don't translate it for me. Don't tell me this is about a person thinking about his mother and wishing he could go back to Mexico, but also thinking about her role. Don't tell me that. Tell me how it helps to answer the question. So what is the idea it represents in terms of providing an answer to your question? So in this case, I might say something to the effect that okay. So the idea here is that, for him, Mexico, that culture is very maternal, and it represents the home that he's constantly trying to being pulled back to, but yet always straying away from. It's really about the conflict within himself between the old and the new. And I could talk more about this, but for right now, I feel like it starts to get into these traditional values and then the gender roles. Um, that are kind of assigned to them that he sort of questions later on in the essay. But I'm going to wait to talk about that till I have that quote. And then from this, I want to make a topic sentence. And topic sentences need to do a couple things. They need to make a statement, and that statement is something that can be supported by reasons in the paragraph. So you don't just want to say what your paragraph is about in a topic sentence. You also want to make a claim, okay? You want to say something that you can support later on, like a lawyer, okay? So for instance, I might say something like, so I don't know, I probably need to, edit this. I say culture twice. But this is kind of what the paragraph's about, and it's something that I can support. So the key claim I'm making here is that he questions and explores it, this traditional framework that runs deep. So maybe I don't necessarily prove an answer to my essential question here, but I set it up because I'm talking about how he's questioning, exploring these traditional values. Later on, when I write commentary for this quote, I'm going to say more about what it says in terms of answering this essential question. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to find another quote in my essay, write out the general idea it represents, and then try to write a topic sentence for it. Same thing for the third quote. When you get to the bottom, okay, the thesis, everyone write this down in your notes, get it tattooed across your heart, whatever it is you need to do to remember it. Your thesis is the answer to your essential question, okay? Your thesis is the answer to your essential question. Where does your thesis come from? Well, it comes from the sum total of all of your topic sentences. So in a 5-paragraph essay, your thesis does two things. I'll just write this here. So it comes from your topic sentences. So it should be pretty logical what you're going to say, because you're going to sort of summarize the main ideas from your topic sentences while answering your essential question. So I've already started talking about him questioning these maternal gender roles and his culture and tradition. But I'm going to find other quotes about what he says along these lines, and I'm going to put them in. And then I should be able to, in summarizing those things, answer this question. So I'm taking, it's like I'm working two ways. It's almost like I'm weaving, because I'm asking myself what ideas the quote represents, and I'm building to a topic sentence from that in terms of trying to answer the prompt, the essential question. And then at the same time, I'm building to a thesis when I sort of summarize or convey the main ideas of my topic sentences while answering the essential question. So the simple answer is that you're always answering your essential question in your thesis. Where does that answer come from? It comes from your topic sentences. Where do they come from? They come from the ideas that you're going to explore about the quotes. So really, it comes from your evidence. It comes from your quotes, but you don't just quote it and then out of the blue make a thesis. You think about what you want to say in terms of the essential question. You write out that idea as a topic sentence, and then you take those ideas that you put in your topic sentences and they become your thesis, which is sort of like the controlling statement, the main point of your paper that you'll then defend, that has to by nature answer your essential question. So that's the final test, is does what you write here, is it supported by your quotes, and does it answer your essential question? Okay, so that's what we're doing today. You're filling this out. You're rereading your essay. the first challenge is going to be to find the best moments in the text, okay? That's the most important thing. And then building to that thesis.